Welcome to Pursuit and Pause. I'm Paige.
And I'm Hannah, and together we are working towards leading deeper, intentional, deeply rooted lives. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, hello. Long time no talk. We have not talked to you guys for a while because I am terrible at scheduling. Uh, but I'm happy to be back. We're happy to be back. We had something fun we did in June.
We did. So this episode and next episode, we are going to be talking about the Homestead Festival at Rory Feeks or Hardison Mill. It's down in beautiful Tennessee. It was my second year going, and it was Josh and Paige's first year going. So Jake and I went last year, and we went this year. They went for the first time. So we're going to talk a little bit about our experiences and what that conference is like, right?
Yeah.
They sound kind of scary, and there's not always a ton of information online or a lot of pictures. This one's only been around for I think 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty new. So
yeah, it's a little intimidating, when you feel like you know nothing about, like you're about to go to a conference where there's homesteaders, experienced farmers at this thing, and you're like, okay, I literally have 2 raised beds in my backyard. I am just basically growing tomatoes out there right now. Like, I don't know a thing, but everyone was so welcoming, and I did not feel like, I didn't belong there. Yeah, there was just all kinds of different people there, and I don't know, I just felt kind of at home. Like, it was just such a good community there.
yeah. So it's all in like one big piece of property.
Beautiful property.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's I believe five big tents, like think of like weddings, big outdoor events. And then they have rotating speakers. So my grandma was very confused when I was telling her about it afterwards, because she was wondering if it's the same speakers, have multiple sessions of the same session. You can kind of pick and choose. No, it's complete. Every tent has its own schedule, and every schedule is completely different, and it's different people. So there was, I think I would say like 18 or 19 speakers.
Yeah.
Some taught multiple sessions, some only taught one. And you kind of got to pick and choose what tent to go to, what to go to. They are hard decisions. Very hard decisions.
Especially your first year. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to see all these. And they all clash. That's kind of like the hardest part, I think. It was planning your day out. For sure.
And the good news is they do record everything, which is super convenient. So they either release them, I think they may release them on YouTube this year. Last year, they released them. If you had a ticket, you got free access to them, or you could buy access to all of the recordings in like a course form. And so that was super nice, because I got to watch a bunch of people that I didn't get to see in person, my short list of people. So we'll see what they do this year. But it's always a little bit more reassuring when you know you can go back afterwards and hopefully listen to some of them.
Yeah. And not to mention, so all the booths. So under all these around, there's the tents that kind of circle you in, and then there's all of these amazing stores. Oh my gosh, like all the ones you see on Instagram. Just all kinds of different soaps, different cooking supplies. 4 jars were there. Just everybody, anything, candle makers, just anything you can think of. So Roots and Refuge was there selling things. Whispering Willow Farms was there. And the Homestead Living people, I believe, were there too, selling or giving out some catalogs and things. It was amazing. I could just shop there all day. Like, I just needed one day to just look around and shop, and then they had the food trucks kind of sectioned out in the back, and good options too, reasonably priced. And it got a little crazy with all the people around lunchtime, but if you go a little earlier, you do just fine.
So let's talk about like kind of the shopping, stuff like that.
Yeah.
A couple of things you probably want to know. One, internet's really spotty out there. You're kind of in a hayfield, literally. And so vendors often drop cell service. So card readers don't consistently work, especially around like lunchtime, because all of the food vendors and everybody is like really amping up the usage. Those vendors are also closer to the road, which I think is closer to like a true cell tower.
Mhm.
And so cash really helps.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of things, if you have cash, will be a flat like price, and
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about tax. It's usually kind of baked in.
Yeah.
But it is super overwhelming to decide kind of where you want to go
Mhm.
and where you want to shop. Um, and you can spend a hefty amount of
Oh, yeah.
money if you don't watch it.
Mhm.
I always stick to the philosophy of look around and then buy before lunchtime.
Yeah.
So Jake and I typically bring food just because we like to kind of take a step back and sit in the quiet after
Yeah.
like being around people for 4 or 5 hours.
Understandable.
And so I tend to do my shopping right before lunch so that I can take everything and leave it in the car,
Yeah.
because I don't want to carry it around.
Yeah. For sure.
But I mean, multiple pottery vendors, multiple
Yeah.
soap vendors,
The
tons,
pottery was beautiful.
pretty much any like infrastructure needs that
Yeah.
you would have as a homesteader would be there. There's people selling electrical fencing and hoop houses and just
Chickens.
chickens, tools, chicken plucking equipment,
Yeah.
processing equipment, mobile bird tray. Like it's all there. It's a lot of knowing what you want to look
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Um, I tend to make a list of like, here's the short list of things I want to buy, especially when it comes to like homestead living. They don't bring their entire book
Yeah.
catalog.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of books and their book pile, like their book repertoire, their publishing house continues to grow. They don't bring them at all. I think they brought 3 books that they were selling. They were selling Daily Sourdough,
Mhm.
Everything Worth Preserving. So Daily Sourdough is by Farmhouse and Boone, Everything Worth Preserving by Melissa Norris. And then they were selling the Freeze Dryer book. I do not remember who that's by.
Yeah.
So that's all they had in person, but they were much cheaper than you can buy them online. And
Yeah.
you just free shipping.
Yep.
So just kind of knowing, like I knew that I was going to be buying Daily Sourdough.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was top of my list.
I did not have that planned, but look at me. I kind of went in blind. I know we don't really want to dive into shopping, I don't think, in this episode, but yeah, I went in blind. So I definitely recommend maybe looking over because they give you a vendor list before you go, like a couple weeks at least before. So you can kind of wait around for that and then make your list, kind of be like, oh, I kind of want makeup from there. I want her pottery, stuff. So just so you have a list to go by because I kind of went just to see how it was, how it flows and everything. And if I saw something I liked or I'm like, oh, I really want that, that's kind of how I went. But I think next year, I will definitely have a list and kind of have my speakers that I want to see more set too.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know. You never know how your days are going to go. Like my husband, he was sick most of the trip. So I was kind of like monitoring my husband and trying to figure out like where I should go to be closest to him. I don't, yeah, it was a mess. So
Yeah.
this next year, I will definitely have more of a structured plan to get the
Yeah.
most out of it.
And I mean, when it comes to a lot of those things, there's an app that they provide that'll be the first spot you'll find a vendor list.
Hmm.
They don't typically publish like on their website a vendor list.
Yeah.
It's only in the like pamphlet you get there or on the app. But it'll also have a map so you kind of know where everybody's at,
Hmm.
both in the vendor section of the app and in the pamphlet. So you can kind of mark, okay, these are the main like locations I want to find.
Yeah.
I will say it's not always the easiest map to
Hmm.
follow,
I find
mainly
the paper one's a little easier. At least you're physically holding it. I'm like, I'm kind of here.
you have to use the tents to orient
Yeah,
yourself. That's pretty much the only thing that really is going to give you direction out there.
for sure.
Some of the lines kind of run together because there's well over 200 vendors, I would assume,
Oh
out there.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot.
But when it comes to parking, it's
Hmm.
in a hayfield, which
Yeah.
is great 98% of the time. We just happened to be there while there was like torrential downpours both days. And
Great.
it got incredibly muddy.
Yeah.
Cars were getting stuck,
Hmm.
but
So
it's
get
okay.
new tires if you need them before you go.
There are people that can help, right? It's a working farm. We were seeing farm machinery pulling people out, but just be aware, if it does rain, it is a grass field.
Hmm.
It will get muddy and it is a rolling hill. I am from the beautiful, lovely flatland,
Yeah.
right? It's a little different, rain and hills, and you
Yep.
get like rivers.
Yeah.
Where here in my lovely flatland, it tends to just kind of equally distribute.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. We were grateful we had Jake's car, not
Yeah.
my car.
Yeah.
His car has 4-wheel drive, and my car
Mhm.
is a little shorter.
We were grateful that Josh got new tires, all 4 tires before we left, because his tires were so bald that we would not have made it out of the mud if we didn't get new tires. So that was definitely a God thing because we would have not have gotten out. It was bad. It was really bad.
But it isn't particularly far. Like it's a walk, but
Right.
it's not a terrible walk
No.
at all. They
No.
do have like, handicap parking, things like that. They
Mhm.
have the VIP parking if you buy those tickets. It's way
Yeah.
more convenient, but I'm
Mhm.
cheap.
Mhm.
Uh, the other thing is there is very little shade outside of the tents. Reminder, it's a
Yeah.
hayfield. So be aware it's going to be hot. It's going to be sunny.
You're in Tennessee.
You're
Like
in Tennessee. It was
the
90.
yeah, it's sunny and the heat will
Well,
be hot. Like it's not you want to prepare for that. Wear your dresses, wear some breathable clothing, wear a hat, sunglasses. I wish I had sunglasses when I
rain.
when yeah. Maybe a raincoat
Yeah.
just in case.
I had an umbrella. I was very grateful I had my umbrella in my bag. Um, I always carry like a backpack or some kind of bag with
Mhm.
me. I keep
Yes.
a notebook. I take a lot of paper notes.
Hmm.
I actually have the same notebook I took last year,
This is
and
mine.
I filled it up. And then what I do when I get home is I transfer all my notes into Google Docs or like Notion.
Yeah.
Notion last year was Google Docs this year, so that I don't have to go back because like
Hmm.
my poor notebook is like in pieces now.
Oh,
So really convenient to have that. I always
yeah.
um, carry my water
You
bottle.
learn so much. Yeah.
Yeah, they have water bottle refill
Yes.
stations that are super convenient.
You're free.
If they have the same ones they've had the last 2 years, they are motion
Hmm.
activated on the very bottom of the sensor.
Yep.
You will probably run into somebody who's confused. Just that. The amount of people we were like, hey, by the way, the sensor is
Yeah.
down there, not up here.
Yeah.
It's kind of productive because it's like 2 feet.
It
You're like,
is
oh,
hard.
why is the
Yeah.
sensor super convenient? There are
Hmm.
porta potties, but I will say they're some of the cleanest porta potties I interact with on a
Hmm.
regular basis.
Yeah.
Um, and again, it's 2 days, and
Hmm.
that's all the porta potties have been there for, and vendor set up. So the most they've been used is 3-ish
Hmm.
days.
Yeah.
And so they're not like, the typical porta
And they have
potty.
quite a few like stationed by different tents too. So it's not like just one area, I believe. So
Yeah.
if we set it up the same next year, that'll be how it is.
And
But,
it's super convenient. There's
mhm.
lots of them. I never like waited in a line.
Yeah.
There are always kids running everywhere.
Mhm.
Big
Oh,
family
yeah.
friendly event, like tons of kids stuff. Don't be afraid to bring your kids if you have kids. Tons of babies, tons of
Mhm.
strollers.
Yeah, they have a place where like kids can garden and like go see farm animals.
Play in the corn bin,
Yeah,
which
yeah. I'm sure something to do with the chickens. Like I'm there's a lot for the kids there.
yeah. Um, if I was a parent, I'd be careful what stroller or wagon I bring. Again, big
Mhm.
wheels. We
Yeah.
saw some people kind of struggling with that.
Mhm. You
Uh,
end up carrying the whole thing back to your car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, again, cars are super close parked, so it is really easy to go back to your car for lunch if you want to step away, or if you need to put stuff in your car. That's super
Mhm.
convenient, so you don't feel the need to like haul all of that stuff in
Yeah.
with you. There are usually plenty of chairs. Now, if you have like really fancy, comfortable like chairs,
Yeah.
like chairs, like feel free to bring them. There were some
Mhm.
with those cool hammock chairs, and we
Or
were a little bit jealous.
yeah.
But and there were a couple times we struggled to find seating. It's usually the very popular speakers, and
Mhm.
it's usually if you're late or
Yeah.
you're right on time. If
Yep.
you can be 5 to 10 minutes early, you won't really have an issue finding
Yeah.
seating at most speakers.
Mhm.
Um, and there is usually about 15 to 30 minutes between speakers to kind of let that switch happen
Yeah.
in all the tents. There are a couple tents that are a little bit bigger. They tend to put,
Mhm.
again, the bigger speakers in there. So of the 5 tents, there's one tent in specific that's called the
Mhm.
demo tent. That is where the most quote unquote hands-on stuff is going to
Yeah.
be. It's going to be like active demonstration where they're going to have the processing demonstrations.
Mhm.
Um, those are really good to watch if you're not comfortable or you've never really had experience with that. All the people we watched, the chicken and the pig last year, and we watched the rabbit this year, the people who do it are really skilled and they try to talk you
Mhm.
through it, and it helps with like the mental
Yeah.
complexities of it. And it's one of those things that you can't find on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like it, and a lot of
Mhm.
times it's behind a paywall,
Yeah.
um, or you have to know somebody or things like that. So getting to watch
Mhm.
before you do hands-on is really helpful.
Yeah.
But they also do things like herbalism or cheese
Mhm.
making. Like they do a bunch of that kind of stuff. That's like Jake and I's favorite tent. We tend to take most of our classes in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't go wrong with
Yeah.
being.
No, I think I went to one. I think it was the Honeybee
Mhm.
Homestead. I don't want to butcher her name, but
Homestead.
Honeysted, yeah. She was awesome. And yeah, she went over a lot of different herbals and honey. Yeah, it was great. I need to find my I'm
Yeah.
sure I took some notes about some herbs she wrote down.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about kind of the things we learned and the people we saw in our next episode. So just be aware that the schedule may flex and change a little bit up until the last minute.
Mhm.
Both years I've gone, somebody's had to pull out last minute due to illness or something. They'll find somebody to fill the tent, or there's plenty of other people to pick from, but the app will tell you the most up-to-date information. With the weather this year, they did push the second day
Mhm.
back about 15-20 minutes because of the mud and people trying to get in. So start times can vary a little bit, but it is pretty straightforward once you get in there.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything you need is right there.
Hmm.
I do recommend making sure that you're drinking plenty of water.
Oh yeah, keep up on the water for sure.
Wear
Um,
comfortable shoes.
Yeah, and I recommend one of my lifesaver was my neck fan. I because I don't do well in the heat. I don't know. I just never, no matter how much water I drink, I just don't do well. And but my neck fan, I'm telling you, was like one of my lifesavers. It helped me feel okay throughout the day because it got pretty hot. I don't remember the temps that weekend, but it was warm and humid after the rain too. So yeah, I recommend getting that, a hat, cool, breathable shoes, clothes, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
And now, when we expand a little bit out, again, this is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's about 30 minutes from Columbia or Spring Hill, I believe it's,
Hmm.
or Chapel Hill,
Yeah,
Tennessee. But at about probably about 45 minutes to an hour south of Nashville.
yeah,
And so when it comes to staying and
mhm,
Airbnbs, those fill up incredibly
I
fast.
do, yeah,
Hotels fill up incredibly fast as well. Just realize the amount of people coming in for this thing is pretty insane.
yeah,
What Jake and I have done the last 2 years, and what we'll probably do again next year, is we camp there. I think it's Henry Horton State Park is about 8 to 10 minutes away, and they have camping, both RV and tent camping. We tent camp. Super nice bathhouses, super convenient location,
mhm,
relatively super cheap comparatively, and we haven't had any issues even when it did happen to rain insane. It's
yeah.
very
I was
tree
worried
covered.
about them.
It's very tree covered, so it's okay.
Yeah,
You're usually fine, but that's an option if you're
mhm,
comfortable with that. They do at Brave Feeks, they will let people. They do have some spots for boondocking RVs.
yeah,
If you can do that, that's a great option.
yeah,
Again, if it rains, you are downhill in a
yeah,
field. So
yeah,
I was a little worried about some of the people trying to get out, um, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh and I, we stayed, we were going to camp, but with just the craziness and Josh not feeling too well, all of a sudden that same week, of course, we decided to do the Airbnb route and we lucked out and found an Airbnb in Pulaski, Tennessee. Not, it was like a 40-minute drive, and that's a convenient thing too if you don't like the outdoors but you want to go. That's obviously another good option too. So there are options, just book sooner rather than later.
And just expect things to fill up quickly.
Yes.
And they're going to have the price a little bit elevated. It's
Oh
going
yeah.
to be a little bit more expensive than
Especially the closer you
here.
book it. Hmm.
it's a huge event.
Yeah,
The whole town of Columbia knows they're coming. Columbia is an adorable town.
it is.
We went last year. It's got a super cute downtown, tons of restaurants, tons of little shops. So that's a really fun spot to drop into. We didn't this year. We stopped in Nashville on
Well,
our
you know,
we accidentally ran into the Country Music Awards Fan Fest, which was a whole experience in and of itself. But there's plenty of things to do on the way in and on the way out.
oh yeah,
And you will be tired. So I think we were asleep by 9:30 each
yeah,
night.
yeah, yeah. It's an exhausting day. I mean, it's like kind of like being at the state fair, like all day. Like just around people, just a lot of interaction outside. Good food. So you're gonna be sleepy by the time you go home.
And all of it it's so worth it. The other big thing to know is at the conference, at least they have the last couple of years, they will let you pre-buy tickets for the next year's
Yeah.
conference at a significantly discounted price.
Mm-hmm.
You buy them online, and they usually run that sale through the weekend or the Monday after the conference.
Yeah.
And so that gives you some flexibility. If you really enjoyed it, go ahead and buy it. It helps them because then it gives them the money they need to kind of do some of that foundational work for next year. But it also lets you get out on a super great discount. They're standard tickets. I think they were like $50 or something.
Yeah, 55.
So, really good option.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if you want to do that, I think it's smart to do if you can right after spending all that money traveling and everything. I do want to hit a little bit on like the VIP. I know we didn't do VIP tickets, but things I noticed that VIP got were the closer parking, and they got this air conditioned bathrooms, and I think there was also like maybe a little food court inside this like
air conditioned tent thing with snacks, I think it was.
yeah, because there was like that barn thing by the food court. I think that was like only for VIP. I don't know 100% what was on there, but I think you could go in there and eat in the air conditioning. And then I also noticed when you go to the tents, there's like the first row or two are for VIP. It will say VIP on the seat, so you get closer seating. You're more, and you're more likely to have seats, I think, because not a lot of people buy the VIP anyways, so you're more than likely to get a closer seat to at the talks. So
yeah, they were pretty much always had seats open at all the events. There's also a bag you get where people, like some of the vendors, give stuff. It is super nice, especially if you have any kind of heat tolerance issues, or you don't want to walk as far, any kind of like chronic health conditions. That makes it a lot more accessible, like heat and space wise. But again, it's a great option.
Yeah.
They do have a general, so the VIP, they also have a general admissions plus. I don't really remember what was special about general admittance plus. I think it was you got into the bathrooms. So there was air conditioned bathrooms.
Yeah.
And then an air conditioned tent kind of area. In that air conditioned tent, there is a nursing room, and that's like a nursing area that is available for everybody. So if you are a nursing mom, know that option is there. Obviously. Super important in the heat. We did see. I mean, nobody really gives a care if you start nursing in the middle of an event. Like, this is definitely the place that nobody's going to bat an eyelash at you.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's moms changing their babies, like, right next to you, and then there's no one cares. It's really, it's a nice community of people.
Yeah. And so I've been to, I grew up at the county fair. I've gone to a lot of big events. I grew up in robotics. I did a lot of things where you were having, hundreds, thousands of people in one area. I will say this is probably one of the nicer events that I go to with that many people. I feel like everyone's very nice, very respectful. I don't really see any arguing, any fighting, any aggression. Yes, there are a bunch of kids running wild, but most of the kids are relatively well behaved. Like, I never ran into kids being dangerous. They were having a grand old time, but it's not and everybody kind of looks out for each other. Like, if somebody's also they can take care of it. It's a very safe environment. Tons of volunteers are always around to answer questions and help. You can also volunteer in exchange for So if you have the capacity to volunteer with parking in the morning or would just check in, some of those shifts are a lot shorter. Go ahead and volunteer is a great option. Thank you, volunteers.
Yeah.
Or if you have some teenagers that are bored, make them volunteer.
Make them,
it's good for them. It's good for
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Your mic is buzzing. Yeah. It was like I could barely hear you. That's all why I was just dealing with it. But yeah, volunteering there would be awesome. I don't know like I don't know how difficult it would be for us to do something like that, being like in Illinois. But if you're close by, I feel like that would be awesome to do to help out. And you get to probably also listen, I'm sure, like here and there to the speakers as well.
Yeah. It's everybody's super nice, and like
Yeah.
it's a super clean, great, wholesome event.
Mm-hmm.
We do have concerts every night. We do not usually make it to that point.
Yeah, I know.
We're usually wiped out.
Yeah.
By the time that happens. We also have a church service on Sunday. So the conference is Friday to Saturday between doors open at 7 and sessions end at 4:30.
Yeah.
The first session typically starts at 8:30 for processing, but 9 a.m. for everything else.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you a time frame.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about those things is get in, get early. The closer you get, the earlier you get, the better you park.
Yeah.
Does back up.
Oh my goodness.
Facility. So there's just a lot of people trying to get in through one entrance into a grass field, and you have to go pretty darn slow. They do have volunteers out helping you park. So they will tell you, like, they do a really good job packing people in tight. They keep the line moving. Like, it's not like it's a stall. The slowest part is getting into the field. And that's because they can only put one car in at a time. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, definitely plan on coming 30 minutes early.
Yes. Especially on Friday. Yeah. Because then there is also going to be a hold up when you get up to get your tickets scanned. Yep. I print out my QR codes because I do not trust my self-service.
Yeah. Next year I'll probably do the same because it is sketchy. Like it's here and there. Like I got in fine with mine. I think I maybe have screenshotted mine too, so that's probably
at a minimum screenshot them.
Yeah.
If you can print them. It's super convenient. They just scan them with a QR code reader, and then they give you these bracelets. The bracelets are super great, but they do not loosen once you tighten them. Yeah. So be very careful. Don't tighten it too much. There is no backing down that tight area. So, like I said, self-service. General rule, depending on your carrier, obviously, Jake had a little bit better service than I did. Yeah. I was extremely hit or miss. I'm on T-Mobile. That's what I have too. Very, very poor internet. Yeah, it was bad. And even cell service. So there was pretty much no 3G, 4G, whatever the heck we're on. And then I would like send text and then 30, 40, 50 minutes later. Yeah, I would get some later from you. I'm like, oh, I don't think that was meant to be sent right now. I think that was from this morning. Yeah, or I would send to my parents or Jake's parents, and then again, maybe 30, 40 minutes before that text we go through. It's fine. Just be aware that Jake and I can bring walkie-talkies this year. We can use them a ton, but it did help to kind of track it down. Gave me a little more confidence to split in different directions because last year we stayed very close together, and this year we tended to, when we wanted to move into different classes, which was nice. There are some things I want to see that I don't think he has as much interest in. There's some stuff he really wants to see, and I'm like, I'm good. Like, yeah. I think I split off with you a little bit, and I split off with Josh, or I went to one, I think, by myself. But yeah, totally fine to do. And I really want to reiterate, probably bring cash because of the self-service, and also like at one of the food trucks, they did have trouble connecting their payment thing to so you're waiting in line all this time and then it crashes out. You don't want to be in that situation where you just wasted all your time. So definitely bring cash with you for food and shopping. So those are like the top 5 things to know
Yeah.
is wear comfortable clothes and shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and like prepare to be outside.
For sure.
Bring a water bottle. You'll be able to refill it. If you
Yep.
need to hydrate, bring cash.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect to have cell service.
Yeah. Nope.
And it's going to be a ton of fun. You're
Yeah.
going to learn a lot. You're going to be exhausted, but it's so worth
Yes.
it.
It's so
So
fun.
worth it. So,
Yeah.
anything else that you wish you would have known before you
Yeah.
went?
I mean, I think we covered pretty much what I was wondering since this was my first year. I think, the heat, I was really worried about the heat because I know Tennessee heat's different than here. So that was my main worry. And I think just bringing the fans, wearing the dresses were absolutely like how I got through the heat and everything. So for sure.
Nobody cares what you're wearing. It is
Yeah,
a
no.
fashion show.
You can wear your dresses, you can wear jeans, you can wear whatever. I mean,
Just be
yeah.
comfortable and
Yeah.
don't overheat.
Yeah, not anyone really dressed up, or anything. So you don't have to worry about, what do I wear? Yeah, just some casual dresses, something.
And in the worst case scenario, there are paramedics and law enforcement like on site. So if something
Mm-hmm.
happens, there are people there, for security, but also
Yeah.
primarily the paramedics. So if something happens, like health wise, they do have people on site. So they are
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is reassuring. Not that you
Yeah.
ever want to use them, but it's the same concept as there was at the county fair.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Somebody probably doesn't expect the heat to hit them as hard
Mm-hmm.
as it does. Be
Yep.
prepared.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
those are our main things. We will link to Hardison, the Homestead Festival at Hardison
Mm-hmm.
Mills
Yeah.
website down below. Follow them on social media, especially
Mm-hmm.
if they are when they start dropping the session recordings, which is
Yeah.
usually for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was August or September last year.
Okay.
We'll make a shout out in one of our
Yeah.
episodes, and either they may put it behind a paywall. I think it was like $25.
Mm-hmm.
So worth it to get
Yeah.
access to. I mean, probably 60 sessions,
Yeah.
probably about.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Maybe less, at least 40
Yeah.
people's talks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We really enjoyed it. Obviously, we
Yeah.
plan
Plan on
on going
going next
back
year.
next year.
So maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely worth your time.
definitely worth
For
your
sure.
time. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
And in the meantime, keep on living intentionally.